There are so many tools for personal growth and so many paths to get there. Here at Catching Sunshine, we are on episode 12. Woohoo! And over these past 11 episodes, we've explored quite a few personal growth tools. Today, I'm sharing another approach that's been a part of my work for many years, and that is energy healing. Whether this is somewhat new to you or something you've already explored and maybe even know a lot about, I invite you to come along with an open mind and an open heart. As we go through this together, you can decide for yourself how woo woo is too woo for you. If you're a new listener, or even if you've been with me for a while, you should probably know energy healing has been a huge part of my work. I've been doing it online since 2003, and I've been training and certifying practitioners in my Simply Align method since 2006. I've traveled across the US to teach classes, and I've even made 7 trips to Australia to teach. And these days, my trainings are live, but online, making it accessible to more people. So, this is actually the first time I'm talking about energy healing on this podcast. I waited till about episode 12, and this episode will be a little bit longer than usual because I have so much to share about it. And we're just touching the tip of the iceberg today. And don't worry, Catching Sunshine will always be about personal growth, mindset, and possibilities. That's what drives all my work. It's the common denominator. So whether I'm coaching a high-performance client or working in my Possibilities Rising program or doing energy work, walking alongside people as they discover what's possible in their lives is what really lights me up. So let's jump in. I'm going to start with an experience I had a couple weeks ago with my computer because sometimes the best way to understand energy work is through everyday examples that we can all relate to. And this illustrates how energy works in our own bodies. You know how sometimes your computer starts acting up, overheating, the battery drains way too fast, and you have no idea why? That happened to me recently with my Mac. I thought maybe the battery was just dying, but I got an appointment at my local Apple store, and the girl was super great. She was able to take off an app that I hadn't been able to delete, and man, it was taking up so much space. I don't even know how it got on my computer, to be honest with you, but after she got that taken off, it stopped overheating, but I still needed to free up some storage. So when I dug a little deeper, I found something really surprising. It turns out I had a ton, in fact, of old downloaded podcast episodes that I had never even downloaded. I knew the podcast. I'd listened to 1 or 2 of them before, but I had never downloaded all those podcast episodes. They were all running in the background, and they dated all the way back to 2016 to 2022. 2022 was when I bought this Mac. So they must have just synced from an old phone or something before things got transferred to this newer computer. 10 gigabytes worth. I had no idea they were even in there. I had no idea I even had the podcast app on my laptop. I only ever use it on my phone. So years of audio files were quietly taking up space and slowing everything down just in the background. And once I deleted them, ta-da! My Mac had more storage, it ran cooler, my battery lasted as long as it was supposed to. Everything instantly improved. It was great. I'm so happy. And this is how our bodies, our own biocomputers, work with energy too. It's very similar. We go through life collecting old emotions, imprints, fears, misperceptions, experiences, sometimes from years ago, and we don't even realize how they got there or that they're still running in the background. They don't always show up in obvious ways, but they can quietly drain our battery. They can slow us down, they can zap our energy, and leave us feeling off without even knowing why. So energy healing is like going into your system and clearing out what's no longer needed. Just like I had to take time to find what was secretly taking up space on my Mac, sometimes we need to pause and look within and see what's been energetically weighing us down. Because when we do, we free up space, we feel lighter, and everything just flows better. The number one thing I hear from people at the end of a session when I check in and ask how they're feeling is, I feel so much lighter. And that's how it's supposed to work. I love that. As Albert Szent-Györgyi, a Nobel Prize winner in medicine, once said, in every culture and in every medical tradition before ours, healing was accomplished by moving energy. I see energy healing kind of like a big umbrella. So if you can picture an umbrella with the words energy healing above it, there are so many names and titles and styles and techniques and modalities and beliefs all housed under this big umbrella. And that doesn't mean any of them are the same. They kind of have the same roots, and some parts might be the same, but they are so very different from each other. And I feel like that's why sometimes energy healing can get a bad rap, because people hear or read or maybe even experience a certain aspect of a certain method, and maybe they assume that's how all methods work. So you might have heard it called energy work, energy psychology, energy medicine, energy therapy, vibrational healing, emotional clearing, spiritual healing, energy balancing, and a myriad of other names. I like to call it energy alignment because really that's what we're doing, is aligning the energy, and then your innate God-given healing system can work better. If you look up energy healing online, you'll find all sorts of definitions. Here's a good one from the National Cancer Institute, NCI. It says energy healing is a form of complementary and alternative medicine based on the belief that a vital energy flows through the human body. The goal of energy healing is to balance the energy flow in the patient. It is used to reduce stress and anxiety and promote well-being. Energy healing is being studied in patients receiving cancer therapy to find out if it can improve the quality of life, boost the immune system, or reduce side effects. Also, it is called energy therapy. Okay, that's a nice definition. That makes a lot of sense. I like it. But listen to this one from the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health. Oh, okay, complementary and integrative health. This seems like it would be good. I don't know. Let's see what it says. Their definition is energy healing therapy, also known as energy medicine, is a technique in which a practitioner channels healing energy through their hands or other mediums like acupuncture needles to the client's body to restore energy balance, which in turn brings about purported health benefits. Energy healing may or may not involve physical touch. Here's the thing. That one's not necessarily accurate. That's saying that the healer, I do that in air quotes, the healer is responsible for channeling the energy through their hands. Where do they get that energy? Where does it come from? Is it universal energy? Does it flow through them and then to the patient or the client? Or is it from their own energy system? Or is it through their own body? Ooh, maybe that's how a certain type of healing is done. In fact, I'm sure that's how a certain type of healing is done. But that certainly isn't the definition of energy healing. And remember I said the title, the umbrella of energy healing is big with, so many ways of working with energy housed within that title. That's how people can get confused about it, I think, because there are just so many different ways that people explain it. I don't channel energy because I know I'm simply the faucet and not the water. In fact, people often ask me, how do you do so many sessions every week and stay healthy? Don't you get wiped out? Okay, wait, side note. I do a limited amount of private sessions now, but for many years I was booked, fully booked out 6 months ahead. I was on the phone a lot, or Skype. I used to do it on Skype, but now everything's on Zoom or on phone. Until I started training practitioners in my method, and that is so great because now there are many more practitioners doing this beautiful work. So back to the question I used to get asked all the time, how do you not burn out and do this much energy healing? And the answer is simple. I'm not channeling energy to someone else. I know that I am not the water. I'm just the faucet. I'm not channeling it through myself. I'm not giving my stuff to them, and neither am I taking on their stuff that we're releasing. Instead, I'm watching, I'm listening, I'm sensing, I'm being a witness, I'm helping move out what's heavy and fortifying the weak places. Some areas need a little calming and sedation, and other places might be congested or stagnant and need some activation. All of this happens in the energy field with some skill and focused intention. I also use some muscle testing and my intuition. And anyone can learn to do this work. It's like learning a language. I'm simply speaking the language of energy, and we all have that ability to learn this language. My own definition of energy healing is, well, actually, this is my definition of my method, Simply Align. It's a graceful, efficient way to find and dissolve the root of an ailment, whether it's physical or mental or emotional, and whether it's in the present or from your childhood or even inherited from your ancestors. So I grew up watching the Carol Burnett show every Saturday night, or at least I tried to watch it every Saturday night. I loved her. She cracked me up. I wanted to be just like her. She used to do a skit where she was a cleaning lady. And that's how I see myself when I do this work. I'm just the cleaning lady. So, like I said before, and what I teach my students, we're the faucet, not the water. We learn the language of energy so we can help guide the energy to where it needs to go, like a faucet. And just like a car comes with standard features, our bodies come standard with our own healing mechanisms. Or, as my dad taught me early on, the body has a natural blueprint for health. I agree with that. And in my belief system, it's just the way God created the universe and created us. So here's a few more examples of what I mean. A farmer can plant seeds, but he or she is not the one making the seeds grow. What makes them grow is the sun, the water, the soil, and the farmer can make sure the seeds are placed in the best circumstances, but the farmer isn't making the crops grow. The crops have an innate knowledge to know how to do that. Okay, another example. A doctor can set a broken bone with a cast, but the doctor isn't the one doing the healing. They're not healing the bone. He or she just put it in the best circumstances to be able to heal correctly because the body is doing the healing. It has its own innate wisdom to heal, its own blueprint for health. There's a quiet intelligence that all living things have, plants, animals, humans. There's a system, a healing system within us. So as an energy healing practitioner, I just clean up the energetic clutter, clearing out those lower vibrations and getting everything communicating optimally again so that your body's natural healing wisdom can do what it was created to do. I guess I kind of did end up like Carol Burnett after all, a cleaning lady, but I'm just a different kind of cleaning lady. One of my favorite quotes is from Michelangelo. I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free. Everybody has light and goodness, or I believe we all start out that way in life. And sometimes we just get a little dusty from the journey of life. Visualize Pigpen from the Charlie Brown comics. You know, the cute little kid that always had this big cloud of dust all around him. So like Michelangelo carved until he saw the angel, I just clear the dust until the heaviness lifts and the energy feels smooth and fluid, and the client's countenance is brighter. You know, we're bioelectrical magnetic beings. Our bodies actually generate electrical and magnetic fields, kind of like walking bundles of energy and vibration. At its core, this includes fundamental scientific principles here, the same universal laws that govern our universe, like gravity, thermodynamics, quantum physics, cause and effect. With energy, we're working at levels smaller than atomic, smaller than subatomic, down to pure energy, which, as we know from physics, can't be created or destroyed. It can only change form. Now, I can't explain all of this from a quantum physics perspective, but hey, I can't tell you how my iPhone works either, and I use it every day, and it really helps my life. We can benefit from something without understanding every detail about it. I doubt anybody knows everything about energy. Even the scientists are still making new discoveries. And speaking of which, science has been documenting human energy fields for decades. Back in 1958, Soviet scientist Semyon Kirlian and his wife Valentine revolutionized our understanding with their Kirlian photography, which captured the energy fields around living things. Do you know it was really in, I think, 1938 when they discovered this, but they went public with it in about 1958. So Kirlian photography, it's taking a picture of the human aura, the energy, the layers of energy around us. And maybe you've been to a health fair or something similar where they've had one of those machines and you can actually get a photo of your aura. It's really cool. But the Kirlian's work was just the beginning. Think about the tools we use in modern life and in modern medicine. A lie detector test measures tiny electrical changes in our skin that happen when we're stressed. And hospitals use energy measurements every day. EKGs track the electrical activity of your heart, EEGs monitor your brain waves, and MRIs use magnetic fields to create detailed body images. Even ultrasounds are working with energy frequencies. And we also have instruments now that can measure the flow of energy beneath the skin along meridians, the same energy pathways used in traditional Chinese medicine for thousands of years. One example of that is the Rio do Roku, I don't even know if I said that right, but it's a machine and it's used to measure electrical conductivity at acupuncture points. So while energy fields might sound woo-woo to some people, science has been measuring and working with these energies for quite a while now. We're just catching up to what ancient healing traditions have known all along. And when people use the word woo or woo-woo, it usually means mystical or supernatural or unscientific. In fact, one of my taglines for Simply Align is all the wow without the woo. But I guess depending on your threshold for woo, maybe it does have a little, depending on your story and where you're coming from. Here's mine. I was raised in the 60s and 70s. Yes, I'm that old. And my dad was a chiropractor. He was the first one in this small town. He thought it was just a really cute small town and he wanted to move there and set up practice. So our family did. And what he did, chiropractic, was a new thing there. And lots of people thought it was really weird because it was new and it was different. But also there were many people that were thrilled to finally have a chiropractor in the area. And people would travel from hours away to come to my dad for an adjustment. And I remember going to friends' homes, and this happened more than once. More than once, I'm not kidding you. A friend's dad would ask what my dad does, and I'd say, he's a chiropractor. And I'd get told things like, oh, he's that back quacker, eh? Right to my face. So I got a thick skin about things like this from an early age. And I think that has really helped me because it just didn't need to bother me because I knew how good the work my dad did was. He'd helped me heal things many times. So I guess you could say I personally have a pretty high threshold for woo. But also in this healing arts arena, I'm pretty discerning when it comes to what resonates as authentic and what doesn't feel right for me. I'm careful about what practices I look into because remember, there's a lot of stuff under this big umbrella. All of that, I'm sure, is why I take such a practical and grounded approach to my work. And while my approach is uniquely my own and your approach will be uniquely your own, what's beautiful about energy healing is that it's not new at all. Cultures worldwide have been practicing various forms of energy work for centuries. And I've done this for over 30 years, and in that time, I just see more and more people discovering its benefits, from pain relief to decreased anxiety to a deeper sense of well-being, increased joy and confidence, better relationships, better ways of communicating with other people in business, and just so much more. And why this matters is because our energy field is like the invisible architecture of our lives. It shapes our physical health, our emotional experiences, and even our life patterns. Even more fascinating, unresolved trauma can get echoed down to our posterity, passed through generations through our family tree. Did you know that? One of my favorite parts of doing this work is generational healing. And in recent years, there have been several new scientific developments about that. And I can talk more about that in another episode if you're interested in hearing that. DM me, let me know. At the end of this episode, I'll tell you how you can do that. So, when our energy isn't flowing freely, it can manifest as physical discomfort, emotional tethers, or those persistent challenges that just keep showing up in our lives, almost like they're playing on repeat. But here's what's important to understand: energy healing is simply a tool. It doesn't take the place of prayer or meditation or any other spiritual practice that you might have. It's like vitamins or exercise or good music, healthy nutrition, relaxing in nature. All of these are simply tools that help us live happier lives. And speaking of tools that help us live better, let's jump back to my computer. I had to set it up to run better. I had to defrag it, delete those unnecessary downloads and the old software that was hogging so much space. And we can do the same with our energy. What's running in your background? I mean, most of the time we might not even know. We could have things from childhood or things from your divorce 5 years ago or something we inherited in our DNA. That's why we use some muscle testing, because it will tell us. There's no secrets in the energy field. We can always find what it is, and you don't have to relive it. That's the beautiful thing about energy healing also. You don't have to talk all your stories out again and bring them all back up. We can just quietly and easily delete all those files that are running in the background. We all have beliefs and thought patterns that are taking up space that could be used for something better. So I'm going to count this as part 1. Even as I'm recording this, I'm thinking of so many, many more things I would like to share with you. So this is part 1. I'll be back in a few days with part 2. And for today, I have a fun challenge for you that relates to all of this. But before I share it, I'd love to hear your thoughts about today's episode. Was it too woo? Was it not woo enough? Would you give me a follow on Instagram and DM me and let me know if you'd like to hear more about energy healing here on future Catching Sunshine episodes? On Instagram, I'm Simply Carrie. I think there's a lot of Simply Carries there, but mine is just plain. There's no hyphens, no dashes, no underlines. It's just simply, as in simply align, and Carrie, short for my name, Carolyn, Cari. Find me there. Let me know what you don't want more of, what you'd love more of, if you have questions you want me to answer, and we'll just create some other episodes from that, or not. And if today's episode has sparked your curiosity about energy work, I'd love to share more with you. I've created a free 5-day email course, and it's called Energy Healing for Real People, a confidence boost for your gifts. It's not teaching energy healing techniques. It's about helping you trust those intuitive feelings you've probably had your whole life, helping you know you're not a weirdo for having good intuition. And you can find that at simplyalign.com/boost, because it's a boost for your confidence. And by the way, Simply Align, people spell it different ways. It's ALIGN, and there's no ED on the end. And also, if you're wondering, I do offer in-depth training programs for those who want to go deeper into the work. My Simply Align training is coming up in April. It's a 4-day live event on Zoom where I'll teach you the exact method I've used for years. It's an easy way to do advanced energy healing work, and I only offer it once, sometimes twice a year, and there's nothing else like it out there. I've taught thousands of people this. Anybody can learn it, and you can find all the information at simplyalign.com/certify. Now for that challenge I promised. And don't worry, this one's super easy. If you've ever thought, I love the idea of doing energy work, but I don't want to get too woo-woo, I challenge you to try something simple today. Maybe just notice how music shifts your mood, or how a deep breath can change your energy. Or place your hand over your heart and think of one thing about yourself that you really like, a quality that you're happy about, or something or someone you're grateful for. Feel the shift when you focus on gratitude or love. Those are two really high, really potent energies. So you're already working with energy every day. You probably just don't call it that. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening in. I'm sending you good vibes. Shine on, my friend.